river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother, carry me, the child I will always be. Mother, carry me back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother, carry me, the child I will always be. Mother, carry me back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother, carry me, the child I will always be. Mother, carry me back to the sea.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service at the Universal Unitarian Church of Liverpool. Our opening hymn this morning is number 175, Celebrate the Web of Life from the Great Unknown. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you to expand and body your spirit, and join us in singing number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life. Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and hosting these services on our YouTube channel for all of our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the Worship Committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the Worship Committee who make this service possible include Alec, Peck, our music coordinator, who will also be giving the service today. Adam Weddington, who monitors our visual and online connections, and Karina Jacks, who is in charge of our sound. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new. Before we move into the service, there are a few announcements we'd like to share. We will mention several websites, email addresses, and phones. At the end of the service, we will leave a slide with all of this information. It is also available on our website. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first of every other month by email and can request by postal. If you have something newsworthy or that you'd like to contribute, email uuchurchofriverside.calendar@gmail.com or call the church office at 951-666-515. If you would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact the church office. There will be a drum circle on Sunday, August 25th at 6:30 p.m. at Peck home. All are welcome. Please bring light snacks to share. Please see Linda Zamboras at Peck Community Barbecue. We will be hosting a community barbecue here at the church at the beginning of October. This will coincide with the Doors Open Riverside event at the Mission Inn on October 3rd. So you can join us here at the church too for some food and fellowship. Please also consider that we will be collecting donations from the congregation as the day approaches. Now I'd like to invite the Chair of the Social Environmental Justice Committee, Adam Weddington, for a special announcement.
Our Social Environmental Justice Committee works with a number of different organizations, local organizations here in the East Side. And one of those groups is the Human Migration Institute. So I'd like to invite them up to talk a little bit about what they do, and then have an ask for us. It's called that.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Selin Yıldız Nielsen. We come from Human Migration Institute. I'm originally an immigrant. I'm from Ankara, Turkey. My parents worked for the American Embassy, and there was unrest in Turkey for a while in 1970s. And my dad's, we were getting threatening phone calls saying that we would start having kids. And my dad's response was to buy a gun to protect the family, and my mom's response was to immigrate. So you can tell who won that argument. So 50 years fast forward, we have now a nonprofit organization working with refugees, and we also recently became a resettlement agency to resettle refugees right here in Riverside County. And we need to do this not alone, but as a community. And we are here to ask you for your support in certain things. And I'm going to give the microphone to us to. So we recently became affiliates. Well, my name is Dr. Buko. I work at UCR and I work with Dr. Salim here. We recently became affiliates with a resettlement agency that works directly with the State Department that brings refugees in. And those refugees are like really vetted so many times coming in. Our job is to help them within the first 90 days, and one of the main things is finding housing. That's becoming a really big issue for us because all the apartments, the houses that we're finding are either really expensive or it's a 1 year lease, which we don't know if they can commit to at this point. So we're kind of looking for something a bit cheaper, month to month rent, maybe homestay, for a couple of weeks until we figure something out for them. And we are also looking for volunteers to help with like airport pickup if there's anyone that needs an airport pickup, dropping them off at like the DPSS to get their benefits, taking them to doctor's appointments for their health screening, and also donations of like furniture and household items for like the bathroom, the kitchen, living room for babies. And for donations, we can share right now with you the flyer where you can drop them off. And also, if you don't have like furniture and stuff like that, and you would like to participate with having a little bit of like money donated, there's also an address on the flyer where you can do that. Thank you so much. And one other thing as well, we do need to find them employment. So if you know anybody that hires people or needs people at this point, please let us know as well. Yeah. I also want to add that we got our first cases. There will be about 10 to 12 families we have to resettle until the end of September. Our first cases are from Venezuela. We have two families who, if you have any needs on welcoming them, homestay, anything like that, we really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Meeting our guests. Welcome to all of our visitors today, and welcome back to all of our friends. We'd love to meet you during coffee hour after the meeting. If you're comfortable doing so, please give us a wave so that we can recognize you later. For those on Zoom, you can use the Zoom wave function. Let's keep track of your after calls for you. Find our visitors. Maybe when you leave, let me know you return. Thank you for being here. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@udchurch.com. And now, I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the mission pattern. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Shel Silverstein was a songwriter, singer, poet, and artist. He is inducted to the National Songwriters Hall of Fame for writing jazz and country songs like A Boy Named Sue, written for Johnny Cash. But he is most well known for the over 20 million copies sold of various children's books, including A Light in the Attic and The Giving Tree. The Giving Tree was Shel's second children's book, written at a time before he wanted children of his own. For both those who grew up with it and those seeing it for the first time, we can grow in our understanding by reflecting on this now classic tale. The Giving Tree is a popular but divisive children's book from 1964, written by Shel Silverstein. Although the book was written and illustrated for children, the story isn't just for children. Each person seems to have their own interpretation and feel a little differently about the story. We can broaden our soul by exploring meaning within ourselves and in each other. We have two lighting pieces around. The first is a remembrance candle for the indigenous peoples who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We remember that underneath us is the unceded land of several indigenous peoples, Kalia, the Luiseño, and the Cuqueño. We light the sacred flame in their remembrance and in recognition of their struggle for freedom and dignity. Our second sacred flame is our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We are blessed with this space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that hurts the earth and her people, and to be a part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. These thoughts carry us forward as we journey and worship together. Today's child's lighting word, Come, let us worship together, by Lindsay Bates. Come, let us worship together. Let us open our minds to the challenge of reason, open our hearts to the healing of love, open our lives to the calling of conscience, open our souls to the comfort of joy. Astonished by the miracle of life, grateful for the gift of fellowship, confident in the power of living faith, we are here gathered. Come, let us worship. Our hymn now is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, the Teal hymn. He'll feed us in of the Spirit of Jesus and the water of the Spirit. Join us in singing 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the ways to live each other, every calling, every creed and code, that we see our faces in each other's eyes. Then our hearts in a holy when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen and we hear our hearts as they sharpen, and our hearts sing a holy praise. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with God and praising grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the bread of God stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with God and praising grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal, using the QR code, which is shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which we will have in church each Sunday. Amazon gift cards are also available. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Robert Braun in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. To those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. And to all of you who have joined us here today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? A bag will also be passed around to collect food and hygiene items for those who may be in need. Thank you. Our next hymn is number 1010, We Give Thanks, from the Teal Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand again in body or spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 1010, We Give Thanks.
Precious day, forever clear, vessels far away, for this bread we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Our meditation today is a guided meditation on giving and receiving. Allow yourself to relax, take a deep cleansing breath, and release any tension. Get comfortable and connect with your breathing. Remember a time when you gave a gift that you really put your heart into. When the person received it, did you feel an expansion, a sense of joy or happiness? Stay with your breath as you remember the experience. Let the feeling spread through your body. Now, remember a time when you received a gift that was just perfect for you, that came at just the right time and just the right form. As you remember, keep breathing into your heart, feeling the expansion, the warmth, and the gratitude. You might even experience the feeling of giving and receiving to be the same. When receiving, we are also giving something to the person who gifted us. Rest in the feeling in your heart as you remember. Now, make a commitment to keep abundance in gifts of caring, affection, appreciation, and love. Open yourself to give and receive gifts. When you're ready, gently bring yourself back to the room, taking a moment to be grateful for all of the gifts we've received and given, and sharing that feeling of gratitude with those around us. Now I would like to introduce Alec Peck, who will be speaking to us on the book, The Giving Tree. Alec?
Thank you, Grace. Oh, and Adam, I'll need a little bit of extra help flipping through the pages in a moment. As we just mentioned, or as I put in the little description for this, the book The Giving Tree is now fairly widely known. I grew up with it, and even people much older than I am grew up with it. And for the most part, I found that it's very well received. And my research on this topic. I found that the Google reviews were 95% positive. So it's not the most controversial children's book, certainly not by a far stretch, but there were certainly some controversial things that some people had to say. And certainly, but it was largely positive, and I was inspired because of a video essay actually that I saw online, and it seems that many people take away their own versions of this story. And I do think it's a nice story, it's nice and simple, but I think the good messages, even if they're simple ones, are good to hear again, even if they're ones that can be understood by a child. And fortunately, this book is short enough that we can all read it together, so that way we can talk about it. Not only for those who maybe don't remember the story, or for those who haven't seen it themselves. And so I'd like to go through the book, and Adam is going to help me. And maybe as we go through it, perhaps also think about how you might feel hearing this as a young child. So, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come, and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. And they would play hide-and-go-seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree very much, and the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I have only apples and leaves." "Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money, and then you will be happy." And so the boy climbed the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. Then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy, and she said, "Come, boy, climb my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I am too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife, and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no home," said the tree. "The forest is my house." "But you can cut off my branches and build a house. Then you will be happy." And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build a house. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I am too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. And after a long time, the boy came back. "I am sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are all gone. Oh, my teeth are too weak to eat apples, said the boy. My branches are all gone, said the tree. You cannot swing on them. I am too old to swing on branches, said the boy. My trunk is gone, said the tree. You cannot climb. I am too tired to climb, said the boy. I am sorry, sighed the tree. I wish I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry. I do not need very much now, said the boy. Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired. Well, said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest. And the boy did. And the tree was happy. The end. So, having just read that once again, I want to first pose a couple questions. First, what was this story about? What moral do you take away from it? And also, is this a good story for children? I'm going to go around with the wireless microphone to help. So if you raise your hand, I'll come and please, I'd like you to share your thoughts on the story. How's that? Sorry, we've had a few audio issues. I apologize for the jump scare. Would anyone like to offer now that the microphone is under control?
Well, first of all, we have a man who's talking to a tree, which many people have talked to trees, fewer get answers. And because he got an answer, he really should have shown a little more class than what he did. Because the tree gave him gifts, everything else he had to buy. He was already trapped as far as the money goes. When he did branches to build the house, every single thing he asked for was ephemeral. Everything he asked for was ephemeral. Oh, you waited for something spectacular. Okay. Everything that man had was ephemeral. The house, maybe for now, maybe not. The branches, cutting down the whole trunk of the tree. One, two, three, four. Okay, I think we got something. All right, it's essentially everything that guy asked for were ephemerals. They didn't last. And when you've got, of all the trees in the forest, and you're just talking to the apple tree, and you take its trunk away? No. At a certain point, you look at the world in a deeper view, immerse yourself in the miracle, and even if your chunk of the miracle is a talking tree, you don't then make that tree closer to being gone. So it's a good lesson for a kid, I suppose, on its find the wonder of the world and don't screw it up. But I also noticed that the old man, as the boy aged, he was always the boy in script, but he was the old man coming along, and he didn't look happy once he got taller. I think he was chasing ephemerals, sort of knew it, but didn't know what else to do, because if you don't chase the wife and kids, you wind up lonely, and so on. So I'm glad he finally came to some sort of a resting spot there, but the way I see it, you never take the last apple tree. You plant, you do some Johnny Appleseed work and you plant for that. Never kill the last of the magic in your neighborhood. Make a point of planting in your neighborhood so that the wonder of it all, the magic of it all, is always with you.
So Bill, so you don't think the boy was a very good role model though for children?
No, he was trapped.
Bill,
Yeah. Okay. He was trapped. He just didn't, like many of us, he didn't realize he was trapped.
Well, to build on it, well, the building is easy. It might be an important lesson for young people to think about the giving boy. Giving boy was not exactly on the same plane as a tree, and his children and his needs he met at a cost of not having a tree there for his progeny.
Thank you. So, first, Karina.
So I guess just from like the surface of it, it seems like a story of like unrequited love. But I mean, the boy's always there and the tree's always there. So maybe it is returned. Who knows? It doesn't really feel like it. And when it's unrequited love, I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I remember reading this at the young age of 27 for the first time, and I was very angry at the end of the book. And I wasn't angry at the boy, I was angry at the tree. Why did the tree keep giving so much when the boy wasn't returning in the same way? The tree seemed, to me, the tree was giving love, and the boy was just receiving. Well, I believe he was receiving love, but also, like I was growing up, very confused. What is the difference between love and a gift? Oh, someone opened with a message of gift this morning. I see where you guys are going with this. I like that. Anyways, then I have a son when I was 31, and I can understand now a little more why the tree keeps on giving and giving. It was hard for me to understand before that, but it's hard to speak a moral into the story. I think this story, for me at least, is a mirror to help me reflect on some of my own behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. Do I give too much in hopes to get someone's love returned to me? Do I use someone else's love for my own pleasures and profits? That's what I take away.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me.
So hold it up to your mouth.
Like this? Relationship.
Sorry.
No. Yeah, I was thinking back when I was a kid. I think I read this in 5th or 4th grade or something like that, and it was easy for me at that time. I was a little kid, whatever. So I thought the tree being God and the kid being human as they're going through the stages of life. But now I definitely do see the potential criticism that some folks might have in seeing that, oh yeah, nanny state right there. You have the tree always giving, and look, sure enough, you end up getting a very spoiled civilization or society that doesn't give a crap about whatever the state is doing. So it's actually not incentivizing them. Now in my older age and everything, I still adhere to the first interpretation. I like that one much better with the God and everything else, that despite all of this, that I think life is affirming life. It just provides.
Do you feel like it's a good book to give to kids?
Oh yeah, I still do, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's happened to our microphone system, but they're all wonky today, so thank you.
I love this book, but when I read it aloud to children, particularly female children, I add a little bit of reciprocity because I think that it is a good thing for children at a very young age, particularly male children as well as female children, to learn how to be reciprocal about giving and receiving and sticking around. There were long stretches where there was no contact between the boy in the story and the tree in the story. And this is a very gendered story, with the tree being female, having she, her pronouns, and the little boy being a he, him little boy. And so as a female reader and as a mother of daughters and as a person who's devoted my life to caring for children, I have some caution about sharing this story with children unless you add in the boy came back and he brought some compost, or the boy came back and he watered the tree so that new branches and new leaves, or he shared the apples in a responsible way with people who could then help to grow an apple orchard for the community. So anyway.
Questions? I've got one for you too. So thank you for your comments. And so then one of the biggest criticisms of this story is that the boy doesn't learn his lesson. Do you feel that it's still a good story about reciprocity, even though the boy doesn't seem to really learn his lesson? In the story, as you say, you sometimes make it so that way maybe the boy thinks a little bit about his actions as the story progresses. How do you feel about that?
I think that we as adults derive that theme. It wouldn't be obvious to a child who would be a more concrete thinker. I think it would need to be made more explicit, that he sort of contemplated his belly button at the end of the story, right? That he thought, he was more thoughtful. Yeah, so it's in there. And Shel Silverstein was a poet.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I'll get you next.
When she spoke there, it triggered two bursts of stories that I had heard elsewhere. One of them, a song, Harry Shapard. Ow, it still hurts. Cats in the Cradle. Little story about reciprocity, and unfortunately, the rising busy father trains his kid to be exactly what he was, and which is exactly what he did not want him to be. Busy, not seeing the important things in life. I'm old now, and I was younger when I heard it, and it still hurts. Very strong lesson not to let that happen to you. Another thing about the magical nature of you're just talking to the trees. Science fiction story I read once about a man who had been living a life that was a little too bland. He'd gotten to be older, and people were starting to look past him in crowds, past him when he spoke. Just basically, he damn near become invisible. And he finally said, the heck with this. There's something I'd always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. And he goes to the local library where, due to the money that was flowing into those joints, a lot of them have these massive stone lions. And in his full business suit, gets up and works his way, a little bit of a hard step, and he sits right down on the back of that lion. And people start going, hello? What's this? Hello? And he just sits there and just luxuriates in the feeling. And people started talking around him. They're saying, is he nuts? Look at him. He's a businessman. He can't be doing this. And then somebody says, it's his one shower. It's if he wants to sit on the back of a stone lion, let him. And later, as the story goes, when he was good and bleeping ready, he got down off the lion. One of the big tragedies about the tree is that you're not talking to as many things as you should. Your lovers, your friends, the weather, the tree, the stone lion, whatever it is, you have to make sure you plant those seeds. Never let it just be a magical moment. Foster them.
Now I'm getting kind of hot, so this will be the last comment for time at the back. You want to come up? Oh, second to last comment. All right.
So, yeah, this is a pretty sad book because, like, the guy quite literally takes everything from the tree. So, like, at first they're both having fun, but it just slowly spirals into, like, oh yeah, I want this. Do you have it? Well, no, but I can give you this. Okay, and then he just forcefully takes it. Like, near the end, yeah, he does actually think about his actions, but he can't reverse them. So, I would say this is a good book for children, as I am a child, and I did enjoy listening to it, but, if this were given to a younger child, I should say, I'm not good at English, they might just like misinterpret the whole entire thing, and I would say, cool, do that. I think that's it for me.
So I'll be really fast. My favorite quote from that story, the one sentence that I really took from it was, and the tree was happy, but not really.
Can we get the microphone on? That is a great, thank you. That is a great transition for me, actually, because this book was written about, I think it was about 4 to 6 years, something like that, before Shel Silverstein had his first child. And when he wrote this book, he didn't know that he wanted children. And about a year after the birth of his first child, he recorded an audio version of this book. And interestingly, he made, there were some small changes for the way, just minor sense and structure kind of thing. But there was one major editorial change that he made, was that he removed that line, but not really. And maybe after the birth of his child, his heart softened a little bit, and he wanted to maybe make it not so harsh. maybe he had some different opinions after he was a parent himself. And I thought that was a lot of really great points that were brought up there. And I wanted to also mention that there has been another book written based on it called The Tree That Set Healthy Boundaries. Yes, where it's the same story up until the point where the boy starts to ask for the branches, and the tree says, okay, the apples I can understand, but the branches maybe are going a bit far. And I wanted also to share with you some of those negative reviews that I found online. Because, in fact, one of them I was reminded of from one of the people who spoke. One of the reviews I found on Google said, quote, literally had my 5-year-old bawling her eyes out on her birthday. I appreciate the message, but couldn't the boy have been kind and appreciative? This sat so heavily and had such a negative tone, definitely not going on my girl's bedroom bookshelf. And to be honest, when I read that it had that child crying, I thought, good, because this is a sad story. This is a sad story, and to cry when you see that tree be taken down means that you recognize that something wrong has happened. It means that you can recognize that moral, that you sympathize with that tree and you know that something wrong has happened. But a couple other negative reviews here. Here I'll just share one that I found just a little bit amusing. Approximately 20 years ago, my mother read The Giving Tree to me, and I still haven't forgiven her for it. This book scarred my little 4 to 5-year-old soul. It was so unrelentingly, soul-crushingly depressing that I cried until I threw up. On behalf of sensitive kids everywhere, I'm here to ask you, please do not read this book to your kids or any kid ever. As a childhood victim of The Giving Tree, I'm here as an adult to warn you that this book is and these next 3 words are in all capitals, kid soul poison. To put it bluntly, The Giving Tree is just too sad for kids. Yeah, you want it? Can you say that? Well, yeah, you said, yeah, isn't that the point, to teach them that lesson? Yeah. Yeah, and that was, yeah, and certainly my experience, when I grew up with this as a kid, I thought the same thing. That kid is in the wrong. He was not kind to that tree. He did not respect the web of life. He did not respect, his friend, his companion. And I think that's a big part of that story, is that what we see that the tree is sad when it loses its companion. And companionship is what the tree wanted in reciprocity for those gifts. And I really appreciated also the comment about the sort of female and male aspect of it, because this has certainly resonated with the sort of motherly role, and a lot of the negative reviews certainly seem to be more from women or otherwise people, and I think that's because it mostly resonates, this idea that this is not a good story for kids often seems to come from people who find that they were a giver in their life, that they found that they were used to the point where they were no longer able to give, and perhaps when the tree realizes it was happy but not really, is it not really happy because it no longer has its companion, or perhaps because it has finally come to the realization that it's being used in a manipulative relationship? And it's much more often in our society that women find themselves on that side of a relationship where they're being unfairly taken advantage of. But thank you. And I think it is also, and other people have pointed out, that the tree is sort of the main character. We sort of follow the tree along with the story. And the tree also thinks of the little boy as being a child the entire time. Even when the boy is too old and too frail to play like a boy, that is what the tree is looking for. Now, I've already talked for longer than I intended on my own thoughts, but I wanted to mention, first as a preface, and I won't talk for too long, much more about what I think, I promise, but I planted seeds as a kid, maple tree seeds, not apple trees. And I think I germinated over a dozen seeds. I think 8 of them eventually sprouted. And over time, those saplings eventually died away until eventually I got 2 that survived to be big enough to be transplanted into the ground and survive on their own. And I got to plant that in the backyard of the house that I grew up in. And I actually can remember loving it so much. You know, I grew up with it, and I remember the day when it got taller than I was. I thought that was such an amazing miracle that I could plant something and now it was bigger than me. And when my parents moved out of that house and I overheard them talking about the possibility of having to cut it down, I went out and I stayed with my tree. I placed a hand on it, on its bark, and I cried just a little bit for the potential loss of my tree. I'm happy to say it's still standing as far as I know. And I think it's natural, so that a little bit of a story about my experience planting trees, but also I think another experience from my childhood. I think it's natural to personify things, even as adults, but especially as children. And that was very much my experience. After all, you know, we experience having a soul, and the experience of having a soul is so vivid that it's often a lot easier to imagine things as being kind of the same way as having this inner universe. As a kid, certainly all of my toys had souls. Even rocks that just looked like they had a face had a soul in my head. Now, I don't think that they have human souls, though. You know, toys have toy souls, and they want like toy things. And you know, food, you know, wants to be eaten, and it's sad when it goes to waste. It doesn't, you know, food obviously wouldn't think the way a human would. And I think all these interpretations are completely valid about what this story is about. And I actually meant to share earlier, since perhaps some of you have already thought, what did Shel Silverstein say that this book was about? And Shel Silverstein, the author, only offered a single sentence. He said, "It's simply a book about 2 people. One gives and the other takes." I guess it has a sad ending. So he was of the personal opinion that his work was not meant to be interpreted, at least not by him. And as I've just said, even the author says that this is a book that's about 2 people. But I want to go in a slightly different direction, because having this experience growing a tree as a kid and thinking of everything that I emotionally get attached to as having a soul, I want to take one element of this story a little bit more literally, that the tree isn't a person, it's a tree, you know? And it might be tragic for a human to have your limbs ripped off. I'd certainly have a pretty bad day if that happened to me. But one time I accidentally dropped one of my desert plants that I grow here in California, and all of its limbs broke off. And this was the greatest day of that plant's life. It sprouted 1,000 sprouts, burst out of every single possible spot on it, and it's now way bigger than it ever was before. And so what we think of as being good for people is not necessarily what a tree wants. And we even speak of things biologically, evolutionarily wanting things. For instance, the tree wants its apples to be delicious, so that way its seeds get spread around. And maybe the oak tree doesn't necessarily want to be cut down, but even oak trees and other similar things under the right conditions can grow from the stumps that are left behind. But even in this case, I agree with what a lot of people said. The boy was still too greedy, even when we considered the tree as a tree. He did not appreciate what he had. And I can easily also imagine a version where those apples were taken and planted and a forest could be grown around that tree. But I think that motherly nature role of the tree can be taken just a little bit further and think of the tree also perhaps as a metaphor for Mother Nature, the way that we take from Mother Nature, the way that everything we have, everything we're made of, you know, they say you are what you eat, and that is very literally true. Every molecule in your body is processed from something else from something living, in fact, that you've eaten in the great cycle of life. And at the end of the story, the tree is still there. That stump is still there to support you. And Mother Nature, even and it's changing, will still have something that can support you in every stage of your life. So I thank you all for your interpretation, and perhaps we can continue on with some of these lessons in our hearts. Thank you.
Our closing hymn is number 1000, Morning Has Come, from the Teal hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand and embody your spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 1000, Morning Has Come.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Okay. How many slams in an old screen door? Depends how loud you shut it. How many slices in a bread? Depends how thin you cut it. How much good inside a day? Depends how good you live 'em. How much love inside a friend? Depends how much you give 'em. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Alec. Thank you, Alec, for sharing your reflections on the Giving Tree with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank everyone for your participation and sharing your thoughts. And now please join us in the Parish Hall for further fellowship. Thank you.